The films Clue by Jonathan Lynn and Knives Out by Ryan Johnson are both in the whodunit and comedy subgenres of mystery. The creators of the movies have both said that they get their inspiration from Agatha Christie novels, with Ryan Johnson directly stating that I've been reading Christie since I was a kid, and the makers of Clue drew on elements of classic whodunits by Agatha Christie, further drawing a connection. The reason I chose these films is because of their association with games and their reliance on satirizing politics for comedy. Clue is an adaptation of the classic board game, and while Knives Out is not a game in the literal sense, it is structured like one. The house is directly stated to be just like a clue board, and the characters throughout the film state that life is like a game, that they must break the rules in order to win. These make the films prime candidates for comparison. Both films were made in times of political strife as a commentary on American politics. For Clue, it satirized the past era of McCarthyism with a level of absurdity that matched the public opinion of the 1980s. The McCarthy hearings during the Second Red Scare were a major threat to all Americans, making everyone tense about their neighbor possibly being a Russian spy. Later, it was found that most of McCarthy's accusations were unfounded, making him a joke in politics. By the 1985, the Cold War was reaching its climax, with there being a major scare at the start of the Soviet-Afghan War in 1979. In times of strife, some people try to create levity to get through it, as is the case with Jonathan Lynn, stating that I don't know how else you can write about politics except treating it as a comedy. This mindset is what made Clue about a group of government officials all having the motive to kill in order to prevent their involvement in non-American actions from leaking.
No, Mr. Green. Communism is just a red herring. Like all members of the oldest profession, I'm a capitalist.
Knives Out was made similarly during a time of political strife, but focusing on a different topic, immigration. Being made in 2019, it came soon after the election of 2016 and all the tensions that came with it. Though this problem has been going on for decades, the media overblew the issue to the point that people nowhere near the border were worried. In the election, the southern border was a particular point of interest, with immigrants, children kept in cages, and the El Paso and Gilroy shooters who embraced a false narrative of invasion, as of NBC News. The film makes use of this background to provide constant threat to Marta and her family, as well as making light of how little rich Americans know of their southern neighbors.
Your family is from Uruguay, but you did it right. I mean, what I'm saying is they did it legally.
One of the most notable parts of these films is the set design. The houses that are the primary locations of these films are like characters in of themselves, having so many detailed nooks and crannies that you could spend the entire length of the film just looking at all the details. The House of Clue was built to match the board game it was based off of, whereas the Knives Out house was a pre-existing mansion with some parts built to match the film. The mansion in Clue is well lit but full of shadowy corners, which matches the general theme of darkness hiding beneath the surface. The rooms are primarily colored in reds, browns, and whites, the furniture popping out with jewel colors as more vibrant shades. All this makes the characters stand out against the background and makes their interactions clearer. Unlike Clue's modesty with detail, the Thrombey Mansion in Knives Out has minuscule details lining every single inch of the house. From the random homunculus statues in the study to the iconic ring of knives in the library. Details such as these characterize the owner of the house as someone obsessed with mysteries and murders, which sets the tone of the story. The costuming similarly helps foreshadow these events of the film. In Clue, each character is named after a color, but despite this, each of them wears the inverse of their coloring. For example, Miss Scarlet wears green, Miss White wears black, and Mr. Green wears blue. This helps to show the dubiousness of each of the characters, as in, they're each hiding their true colors. This can also be applied to characters without color-based names, like Wadsworth, who wears black and white, symbolizing that he is either the true antagonist or the hero, depending on the ending. This also applies to Knives Out, where the characters are given specific colors. At the start, the character is wearing flamboyant colors, but over the course of it, the family's wardrobe shifts to duller colors. The main character of this can be seen with Jamie Lee Curtis's Linda, who starts the film in a bright pink jumpsuit, symbolizing her role as the head woman of the house, while also being a business suit, showing her resourcefulness. By the end of the film, she has on a subdued blue version of the same outfit, indicating that while she is no longer in the same position of power, she is still sophisticated and serious. Both houses are full of secret passageways and rooms to keep track of, but due to the way that's presented to us, the audience can clearly see where everyone is at all times. This is the importance of a detective in the murder mystery genre. In Clue, the detective is Tim Curry's Wadsworth, and in Knives Out, it's Daniel Craig's Mont Blanc. Both characters are separated from the main cast by either knowing more than the others or by being outsiders. They acquire evidence for the audience to think about and push the story forward by forcing other characters to investigate further, presenting all the information tied up at the end. The uses of these characters, however, is quite different. While Wadsworth is helping the ensemble, always a step ahead and knowing something that they don't, whereas in Knives Out, despite having an ensemble, the movie more so has Blanc as a secondary protagonist.
Well, if father changed will, you will get your share back.
So who did?
You used the syringes in the kit to switch the liquids and the 2 medication vials. And as a final precaution,
She was in the billiard room listening to our conversation.
You
She
took
heard the
an
gunshot.
naloxone.
She thought he was dead. And while we all examined the bullet
Saving
hole,
that.
Though the story has many characters, it mostly focuses on Marta and Blanc as they investigate the house, akin to Holmes and Watson. As this happens, due to Marta thinking that she was the murderer, Blanc acts as a threat that she simultaneously has to avoid and work with. This works as a twist in the tropes commonly found in murder mystery films, as the detective is often one to trust instead of fear. This goes to show the subversiveness of both films. They break away from the commonly used tropes of murder mystery to make something that stays true to its roots while also staying new. In Clue, it makes use of how arbitrary the chosen culprit is when there is ample evidence that any of them could have done it. It does this by having multiple endings which all contradict each other on who the true culprit is, with the characters having different motivations in each one.
got the gun, shot the girl. Turn out your pockets. The gun is missing. Empty your purses. Turn out your pockets. You. Whoever has the empty your purses is the murderer. So it was. Whoever has the gun
Brilliantly
is
worked
the
out,
murderer.
Roger. Very well.
The reason for this is because filmmakers wanted to make the movie more like the board game, wherein the details of the murder are randomized each time. While Knives Out doesn't have multiple endings, director Rian Johnson is focused on constantly subverting the audience's expectations. He does this by revealing early on that Marta is the murderer, shifting the focus from who did it to how will they get away with it. Expectations are again subverted when Chris Evans' character, Ransom, is revealed to be the true antagonist. The choice in casting is what is unexpected about this, because Evans is most known by people to play Captain America in the Marvel films. By playing someone evil who pretends to be good, it breaks away from what the audience expects. In this way, both films have a character that was thought to be trustworthy and ends up as an antagonist.